BTS news today. Beyond the noise of trending hashtags, click-driven headlines, and fleeting viral clips, there exists a deeper, more emotional current within the global BTS fandom. It is a current shaped not by tabloid logic, but by memory, context, and years of watching two artists grow side by side. When ARMY speaks about Jimin and Jungkook, they are not merely reacting to a single photo, a shared glance, or a coincidental schedule. They are responding to a story that has unfolded slowly, patiently, and consistently in front of millions of eyes. This is why, beyond the headlines, many ARMY believe that Jimin and Jungkook are together in a way that transcends simple friendship labels, even while fully understanding the line between public reality and private lives. To understand this belief, one must first understand the nature of BTS itself. BTS was never presented as a group built solely on performance. From the beginning, they were framed as a narrative, 7 individual lives intersecting at a single point and then moving forward together. Fans were not only invited to listen to the music, but to witness the process, the struggles, the late-night conversations, the moments of doubt and reassurance. In this environment, relationships naturally became part of the story. And among those relationships, the bond between Jimin and Jungkook stood out with a particular emotional clarity. Jungkook entered BTS as the youngest, a teenager carrying raw talent and overwhelming pressure. Jimin arrived with his own insecurities, having trained for a shorter time yet carrying the weight of perfectionism and self-doubt. From early behind-the-scenes footage, ARMY noticed something subtle but persistent. Jimin often positioned himself as a quiet anchor for Jungkook, while Jungkook gravitated toward Jimin not only as a hyung, but as a source of comfort. This was not loudly declared. It appeared in small gestures, in tone of voice, in the way silence was shared rather than filled. As the years passed, the group's visibility increased, and with it, scrutiny intensified. Many idol friendships falter under such pressure, becoming more cautious, more distant, more carefully managed. Yet Jimin and Jungkook's dynamic did not retreat. Instead, it evolved. They grew more emotionally expressive, not less. Their conversations became deeper, their physical closeness more natural rather than performative. ARMY, especially those who have followed BTS since the early years, recognized this shift not as fan service, but as maturity. What truly separates ARMY's belief from sensationalism is the emphasis on consistency. Headlines thrive on isolated moments. A shared hotel rumor, a matching accessory, a similar airport outfit. ARMY, however, often points to patterns. The way Jungkook's emotional tone softens when he speaks about Jimin. The way Jimin's confidence visibly stabilizes when Jungkook is near. These are not moments designed for cameras. In many cases, they appear when the artists seem to forget they are being watched at all. There have been times when Jungkook appeared withdrawn, silent, or emotionally overwhelmed. During such periods, fans notice Jimin's presence intensify, not publicly announced but quietly evident. A comment here, a shared laugh there, a look that communicates reassurance without words. Likewise, when Jimin faced waves of criticism or personal pressure, Jungkook's behavior shifted subtly, becoming more attentive, more protective, more emotionally transparent. For ARMY, this reciprocity is key. It suggests a bond rooted in mutual emotional responsibility, rather than convenience. Another factor often overlooked by headlines is the way both artists speak about connection itself. Jimin has repeatedly described relationships as something that must feel safe, honest, and emotionally grounding. Jungkook, in his rare moments of vulnerability, has spoken about needing someone who understands him without explanation. While neither has publicly labeled their relationship beyond friendship, ARMY listens not just to what is said, but to what is mirrored. When two people articulate the same emotional needs and consistently turn toward each other, fans naturally draw conclusions, even if they hold them gently. The military hiatus period only intensified this perception. Separation often reveals the true shape of a bond. During times when public appearances were limited and communication became sparse, any small sign of connection carried amplified meaning. ARMY noticed that when one of them surfaced emotionally, the other often followed in quiet alignment. This was not dramatic or staged. It felt organic, like two people checking in with each other even when the world was watching from afar. It is important to understand that many ARMY do not frame their belief as a demand for confirmation. Instead, it exists as an emotional interpretation, a narrative built from years of observation. This distinction matters. The fandom's belief is not rooted in entitlement, but in empathy. Fans recognize that idols, especially global ones like Jimin and Jungkook, are not free to share every truth. In fact, silence itself can become a form of communication when viewed through the lens of long-term behavior. There's also a cultural sensitivity that shapes this belief. In Korean culture, emotional intimacy between friends, especially male friends, can be expressed differently than in Western contexts. ARMY is acutely aware of this and often pushes back against simplistic readings. The belief that Jimin and Jungkook are together does not emerge from a refusal to understand cultural norms, but from noticing when behavior goes beyond even those norms in consistency and emotional depth. Music itself plays a role in reinforcing this perception. Both artists have released solo works that explore themes of longing, identity, and emotional dependence. While these songs are not literal diaries, ARMY often notices parallels in timing and tone. When one releases a song about vulnerability, the other seems to echo that emotional space shortly after. This emotional synchronization, repeated over time, strengthens the idea that their inner worlds are closely aligned. Critics often argue that fans project their desires onto idols. While projection certainly exists in any fandom, reducing ARMY's belief to fantasy ignores the analytical culture that BTS themselves encouraged. BTS taught fans to read lyrics, to analyze context, to respect nuance. The belief surrounding Jimin and Jungkook is an extension of that practice. It is not about forcing a narrative, but about acknowledging one that appears to write itself through years of shared experience. Beyond the headlines, ARMY also understands boundaries. Many fans explicitly state that regardless of the truth, Jimin and Jungkook deserve privacy and respect. The belief does not come with a demand for exposure. In fact, for many, the quiet nature of their bond is precisely what makes it feel genuine. Loud declarations fade quickly. Silent consistency endures. What ultimately fuels ARMY's belief is not a single piece of evidence, but an emotional logic built over time. It is the feeling that when the noise fades, when the cameras turn off, when schedules loosen and pressure lifts, these two still choose proximity, still choose understanding, still choose each other's presence as a place of rest. Whether that bond is romantic, platonic, or something unnamed, many ARMY believe it exists on a level deeper than public labels. In the end, together does not necessarily mean what headlines want it to mean. For ARMY, it means emotionally aligned, mutually grounding, and consistently present in each other's lives. It means shared silence that feels comfortable, shared laughter that feels unforced, and shared growth that feels intentional. Beyond the headlines, this is the real reason many believe in Jimin and Jungkook's connection. Not because of rumors, but because of a story told quietly, patiently, and honestly over time. The belief continues to grow because ARMY has learned, over time, to distinguish between performance and instinct. BTS are among the most media-trained artists in the world, fully aware of how every gesture can be interpreted. Yet the moments that fuel the strongest conviction about Jimin and Jungkook are rarely the obvious ones. They appear in unguarded seconds, in the way Jungkook instinctively turns toward Jimin when laughter erupts, or how Jimin's voice softens when he calls Jungkook's name without realizing a microphone is still live. These are not moments crafted for an audience. They are reflexes, and reflexes, ARMY believes, reveal truth more clearly than words. As the group matured, interviews became more polished, answers more careful. Still, certain emotional slips remained impossible to edit out. Jungkook, who often avoids verbalizing his deepest feelings, has repeatedly shown emotion through action. When Jimin speaks, Jungkook listens with an intensity that feels different from polite attentiveness. His posture changes. His expression steadies. It is as if the world narrows to one voice. ARMY notices these micro-shifts because they happen consistently, across years, settings, and emotional states. Jimin, on the other hand, is more expressive, but also more guarded than many assume. He chooses his words carefully, often framing his emotions in universal terms rather than personal confessions. Yet when Jungkook is involved, that guard lowers slightly. His laughter becomes freer, his reassurance more direct. There are moments when Jimin appears visibly relieved simply by Jungkook's presence, as though something unspoken has been resolved without discussion. For fans who have followed both closely, these moments feel intimate not because they are dramatic, but because they are subtle. The idea of them being together is also reinforced by how they handle distance. Physical separation has never weakened their connection. Instead, it seems to sharpen it. When schedules pull them apart, references to each other increase rather than fade. Not always by name, but through shared phrases, mirrored emotions, and parallel timing. ARMY has observed how Jungkook's public silence often coincides with Jimin's quiet visibility, and vice versa, as if balance is maintained even when apart. Another element that deepens belief is how conflict appears to be handled. No long-term bond exists without tension, and there have been moments where fans sensed emotional strain. Yet those moments were followed not by avoidance, but by reconnection. Small reconciliations, gentle humor, renewed closeness. ARMY interprets this not as staged harmony, but as the behavior of two people who choose repair over retreat. In a high-pressure industry, where emotional withdrawal is often easier, that choice feels meaningful. There is also the matter of growth. Jungkook has evolved from the youngest member seeking approval into an artist exploring independence and identity. Jimin has moved from self-criticism toward self-acceptance. Through these changes, their bond did not stagnate. It adapted. Instead of clinging to old dynamics, they redefined how they relate to each other. ARMY sees this as evidence of a relationship that grows rather than simply persists. Public perception often demands labels, but ARMY's belief does not rely on numbing what exists between them. In fact, many fans argue that the refusal or inability to label it publicly makes sense. Labels invite intrusion. Ambiguity protects. In an industry where even confirmed friendships can be scrutinized to exhaustion, preserving something precious may require silence. This understanding creates empathy rather than frustration among fans who truly care about their well-being. The media's tendency to sensationalize only strengthens ARMY's resolve to look deeper. When headlines exaggerate, fans respond by contextualizing. They revisit old footage, past interviews, subtle patterns. This collective memory is powerful. It transforms belief from speculation into something closer to interpretation, shaped by time and emotional literacy rather than impulse. Ultimately, ARMY believes in Jimin and Jungkook's togetherness because it feels emotionally honest. It does not demand proof, only consistency. It does not require declarations, only presence. It is seen in how they protect each other from unnecessary exposure, how they share burdens without dramatizing them, how they seem to understand each other even when words fall short. Beyond the headlines, beyond rumors and counterarguments, this belief persists because it is rooted in observation, patience, and care. Whether history ever confirms or denies it, many ARMY feel that the truth already exists in plain sight, woven quietly into years of shared glances, shared silence, and shared strength. And perhaps that is why the belief endures. Not because fans want a story to be true, but because they recognize one that has been unfolding all along. As time goes on, the conversation within ARMY has also matured. What once might have been loud speculation has slowly transformed into something quieter and more reflective. Many fans no longer feel the need to convince outsiders or demand agreement. Instead, the belief surrounding Jimin and Jungkook has become almost internal, shared through knowing glances between fans who have watched the same moments and felt the same emotional resonance. It exists less as a debate and more as an understanding. One reason this belief feels so resilient is that it aligns with the emotional language BTS themselves have cultivated. BTS never framed vulnerability as weakness. They encouraged honesty, emotional expression, and the idea that strength can come from connection. In that environment, it feels natural for fans to recognize a bond that appears emotionally interdependent. Jimin and Jungkook often seem to move as if emotionally calibrated to one another, adjusting instinctively, offering support before it is asked for, sensing shifts in mood without explanation. ARMY often reflects on how rarely this kind of connection survives fame. The idol industry is not kind to intimacy. Schedules fragment time, pressure isolates individuals, and constant observation forces emotional restraint. Many relationships, even sincere ones, erode under those conditions. That Jimin and Jungkook's bond has not only survived, but deepened makes it feel exceptional. Fans do not see stagnation or routine. They see evolution, which is often the clearest sign that a relationship is real. There is also an important distinction ARMY makes between fantasy and emotional truth. Many fans are fully aware that they do not know these artists personally. Yet they also understand that long-term observation creates a form of familiarity, not ownership, but recognition. It is similar to recognizing patterns in a long-running story. You may not know the characters beyond the page, but you know when their actions align with who they have consistently shown themselves to be. For ARMY, Jimin and Jungkook's actions align too consistently to be dismissed as coincidence. When critics argue that everything idols do is scripted, ARMY often points to moments where control visibly slips, tears that arrive too quickly, laughter that interrupts carefully structured interviews, silence that lingers longer than expected. In many of those moments, Jimin and Jungkook gravitate toward each other without prompting. Not dramatically, not loudly, but with an ease that suggests habit rather than intention. Habit, after all, is formed privately, not for an audience. Another layer that reinforces belief is how both artists respond to praise and criticism involving each other. Compliments directed at one are often deflected toward the other. Criticism toward one is met with subtle defense, sometimes through humor, sometimes through silence, sometimes through simple presence. This protective instinct feels personal rather than professional. It suggests a shared emotional stake that goes beyond group dynamics. The belief is also sustained by what is not shown. In an era where oversharing is common, restraint becomes noticeable. There are stretches of time when interactions are minimal, when fans receive only fragments. Instead of weakening belief, this restraint strengthens it. It suggests something being preserved rather than performed. ARMY often interprets this as intentional privacy, a boundary drawn not out of secrecy but out of care. As BTS moves into a new chapter, older, more independent, more self-aware, the way fans engage with their relationships has shifted as well. There is less urgency, less desperation for answers. Many fans now say that whether Jimin and Jungkook ever confirm anything publicly does not matter as much as whether they appear content, grounded, and emotionally supported. In that sense, belief becomes less about romance and more about well-being. Beyond the headlines, beyond the endless analysis, the core of ARMY's belief is simple. It is the sense that these two artists are emotionally safe with each other, that they find rest where the world demands performance, that they share an understanding that does not need to be explained or defended. For fans who have watched them grow from uncertain teenagers into global artists, that safety feels earned, not imagined. In the end, the story ARMY sees is not one of scandal or revelation, but of continuity. A bond that has weathered success, criticism, distance, and change without losing its shape. A connection that adapts rather than breaks. Whether the world ever puts a name to it or not, many ARMY believe that what exists between Jimin and Jungkook is real precisely because it does not seek validation. And that is why, long after headlines fade and trends move on, the belief remains. Quiet, steady, and rooted in years of watching two people choose each other again and again, not loudly, not for show, but simply because it feels right. As this belief settles into something enduring, it also becomes more nuanced. ARMY no longer frames Jimin and Jungkook's connection as a mystery that must be solved, but as a presence that can be felt. It is less about asking, are they together, and more about recognizing how they move through the world in quiet alignment. This shift reflects the fandom's own growth, shaped by years of learning to read between lines rather than demanding explanations. One of the most compelling elements for fans is how naturally silence exists between them. In many public interactions, idols are expected to fill every moment with energy, jokes, or polished responses. Yet Jimin and Jungkook often share silence without discomfort. Sitting side by side, exchanging brief looks, allowing pauses to stretch. ARMY interprets this as a sign of emotional security. Silence is only comfortable when trust is deep, when there is no fear of misunderstanding, or abandonment. There's also something striking about how rarely they seem to compete with each other. In an industry built on comparison, rivalry is almost inevitable. Yet between Jimin and Jungkook, there is an absence of that tension. When one shines, the other appears genuinely proud, not overshadowed. When one struggles, the other does not step forward to replace them, but stays close, steady, present. Fans often describe this as partnership rather than parallel success. ARMY also notices how their emotional language evolves in tandem. As they grow older, both have become more introspective, more careful with how they speak about themselves and their inner lives. Yet their emotional rhythms remain synchronized. When Jimin speaks about fear, Jungkook later touches on uncertainty. When Jungkook explores freedom and identity, Jimin reflects on acceptance and grounding. These themes do not clash, they complement. For many fans, this feels less like coincidence and more like shared emotional weather. The belief is further reinforced by how they respond to external pressure. When rumors escalate, when media narratives intensify, both tend to withdraw slightly rather than feed the noise. This mirrored retreat suggests a shared instinct to protect something fragile. ARMY often points out that if their closeness were merely a concept for fan consumption, it would be amplified during such moments. Instead, it becomes quieter, more contained, as though intentionally shielded. Another aspect that resonates deeply with fans is how both artists speak about home. Not in the literal sense, but emotionally. Jimin has described wanting to be someone others can lean on. Jungkook has spoken about needing a place where he can be unguarded. When fans observe how they interact, it often feels like those needs are being met in each other's presence. That sense of emotional home is rare, especially under constant public scrutiny. As time continues, ARMY also becomes more protective of this bond. Not possessive, but respectful. Many fans actively discourage invasive speculation or invasive questions, emphasizing that belief does not require proof. This protective instinct mirrors the care fans perceive between Jimin and Jungkook themselves. It creates a quiet agreement. Some things are real precisely because they are not exposed. Beyond the headlines, the belief persists because it aligns with a deeper truth about human connection. Relationships that matter most are often the least dramatic. They do not announce themselves. They reveal themselves slowly, through consistency, through presence, through the choice to stay. ARMY sees these qualities reflected again and again in Jimin and Jungkook. Whether history ever offers clarity or keeps its distance, many fans feel at peace with the ambiguity. They have learned that not every meaningful story needs an ending or a label. Some stories simply continue, unfolding quietly, shaping the people within them. For ARMY, the story of Jimin and Jungkook feels like one of those. And so, beyond the headlines, beyond the speculation, what remains is a sense of recognition. A belief not rooted in fantasy, but in years of watching two artists find steadiness in each other amid chaos. A belief that does not demand to be right, only to be respectful. A belief that endures not because it is proven, but because it...
Till the battle's won, still king.